gang. Well, thanks everybody for being here tonight. We try and do these quarterly. I think we've done a pretty good job. We're putting them in different parts of the city, so if people can make them, depending on where you live, and we've tried different times and whatnot, so sometimes we'll do them in the evenings. We did one in the mid-afternoon. We're trying all sorts of different stuff, but again, the great thing is that you can always catch these on our social media channels, so the city keeps those up and you can take a look at what's going on within the city. But these are, not all of the highlights, but definitely the ones that I think probably are the most relevant to residents right now, or at least in my opinion, I think are the things that people keep asking me about. So it's one of the ways that hopefully we can kind of get that info out. So we'll go ahead and, if I can make that clicker work, there we go. Today I'm going to talk about some pretty standard stuff. Our Uniform Development Code. I think this is really important, especially for property owners in Lewisville. You're going to want to take some time to learn about this one. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Northern Gateway. I know if anybody has been driving north, you're seeing a lot of development there on the frontage road of I-35. We're going to speak a bit more about the Tittle McFadden Public Safety Building, which actually we're right here, right next door, and they're actually, all the piers and everything are coming in, so we're seeing a lot of great construction movement there. Again, an update on Old Town, just because there's a lot of development that, always the interesting thing about development is we've talked about development and we've worked on development, but that's been 15 years of work, at least on my time, and then there's time before that as well. And so what you're seeing now is stuff that was put in place, pre-pandemic, those kinds of things. So it takes time for this stuff to start coming on board. Do want to get a quick update on Serve Lewisville for those of you who are looking at how we help residents with some of their more challenging needs. Serve Lewisville is coming on board. We're very excited about that. And then our newest park, which is Gloria or Gloria Park, as well as a couple of small events that are coming up this week. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the Uniform Development Code. So as you can see here, I actually took a photo out of this. Our old development code was 5 books. The new development code is 2, and I'm getting a head nod from the back from our development team, so I know I'm on target. But what was really important about our development code is that we made it simpler, made it easier for people to know what they can do with their property, whether they're a resident, whether they're a business owner, whether they want to invest in the city or just make changes. So what you can see here, this is actually just an example, but tons and tons of photographs and pictures in this UDC and charts, so that you don't have to kind of go back and forth trying to figure it out. I don't know about you, but I like pictures. They work for me, and I can read a paragraph or I can see a picture, and they both may tell me the same information, but I gather it a lot faster this way. So a few things that the UDC allows for. It allows for more duplexes within some of our housing, so a little bit more density. I think what's important to know about that is, most municipalities had this kind of housing, and it actually went away. And so when you look at older cities, you see duplexes, quads, tris, but that was a different building style, and it created more mixed income, it created more opportunities, it created more walkable space, and so we felt that this was an important way to add back and allow folks to maybe do redevelopment in a little different way. It also allows for what are called accessory dwelling units on certain lot sizes. So if you have a lot of a certain size or larger, you can actually put a small apartment. A lot of folks call them mother-in-law suites or rental suites, but you could have a place for extended family to live there. Your kids coming back from college maybe don't want to live in the house, so maybe you don't want to live in the house. So you can create a space for them. Or you've got some family members that want to age in place. They don't want to take care of a big house, but they can move in, or they could maybe use it for rental income so that they can stay in their home. So there's a lot of opportunity that these accessory dwelling units can provide for residents, especially with the increasing costs of housing in North Texas. So this is one of those ways that we can maybe help buffer that for residents by adding it. We've reduced the parking requirements for a lot of our commercial developments. We're allowing now, commercial developments like retail. We're not talking about multifamily in this case. Those you need parking. But when you're talking about the traditional mall parking lot, those don't need to be built like that anymore. We don't all flock to a particular building within a 2-week period anymore. That's just not how we purchase. So that is really reacting to the market, and it reduces the cost, quite frankly, for developers. So again, lots of pictures, 2 manuals versus 5. But if you're a municipal geek, you like this kind of stuff, check it out because the document is really, really cool. And right now we're in that, it's been on board for a couple of months, but over about the next 4 to 6 months, we'll see where it's kind of sticking, where maybe there might be more changes, but we're really excited about it. It seems to be working well. For those of you who maybe are up on that northern corridor, we talked a little bit about it. The northern gateway is still moving. So this is that triangle of 35 and 407 up on the northern side of the city. And you can see Justin Road there, 407 is just splitting it in 2. You're seeing a lot of the development here on the frontage, which is commercial and multifamily, but what you'll notice is we've got large green spaces and walkways and trails coming through here. You'll also notice on the northern side of Justin Road, for those of you who followed that, Gas Monkey Entertainment is coming. I know it's been a long time, it's a long process, but with COVID and sourcing and all sorts of supply chain issues, getting that material has always been a challenge. But my understanding is over the last couple of weeks, they've started buying up the materials that they need and receiving shipments, and so you should start seeing some construction and work on that facility any time now. What's gonna be interesting is in the first part, we're gonna get the entertainment district piece, but they have a second part that's coming. And so for those of you who have maybe seen the big Ferris wheel over at Grandscape, well, we're gonna get some, it's not gonna be a Ferris wheel, but we're supposed to be getting some sort of big sky drop or other kind of entertainment piece there. So hold on, it'll be fun for those of you who like that kind of thing. We're gonna see more announcements on office, restaurant, groceries, and trails over the next 3 to 4 months for different folks that are gonna be filling in this space. So you're gonna see a lot of great opportunity there. But I think what's most important is we've been able to take place a lot of green space in here. So we can protect that. Even though we've got density in there, we've also got places for people to be. One of the developers has a dog park that they put in, so we're really pleased about where this is heading, and it's really creating that nice live, work, play type of environment, that placemaking that we're trying to do. Of course, the Tittle McFadden building is still on target for costs and our construction timeline. We're pretty excited about that because costs have been something that City Council has been having to manage for quite some time with the escalation that we've had and increased inflation and whatnot. But I think we've done a really good job. Really appreciation to staff and to our construction manager at Risk. He's providing the backstop for us, so he's taking on the risk of that and making sure that we don't end up where we've put out a bond and we've said the building is X dollars, and then we have to come back to the taxpayers, to the residents of Lewisville, and say, well, we know we said it was X, but now it's X plus. But we're in a good place for that. The police station demolition has begun last day or two, so if you come down this way, you're going to see that starting to come down. And of course, the big part of this is the subsurface work. So that's all the water, the sewer, the electrical, all the stuff underground, and then the piers for the foundation. That's all being started now. So you'll see a lot of movement, and then it probably will settle for a little bit, and you won't think much is being done. But believe me, all that foundation work, once it gets done, then things start moving again. We'll talk a little bit about Old Town. Am I too quiet?
No, we have the live stream up.
Oh, we got the live stream up now. Okay, great. So super, guys. So for those of you just joining us, we had some technical difficulties. The complete presentation will be uploaded later on, probably tomorrow or Friday. So you can always check back on the YouTube channel for that. The next piece that we're going to talk about a little here is our Old Town district. So again, I talked about how this is 15 years plus in the making. One of these investments, of course, is our deck on Main, which is right next to Beasley's. So that used to be the old bank building there, the tan stucco building. What I think is most exciting about this is it gives us the public restrooms we need to better activate the plaza. So for events, we can have public restrooms and don't have to do portalets. People can rent out for weddings and whatnot, because that originally is how that space was conceived, is you have the opportunity to rent the space, and without toilets it creates a bigger expense for folks. So we haven't seen a lot of usage in that regard. So I think this is going to help. But this deck on Main is a $5 million investment from NAC Development. It's a 20,000 square feet of retail and office space, and it's going to be open the beginning of 2024, so you're going to start seeing quite a bit of work over there. Most of the concrete work for the foundation is done, so it'll start going vertical in the not too distant future. The next of the 3 buildings that we're going to talk about here is the Main and Mill lots. I'm sorry, 4 buildings. Main and Mill Lofts, if you've been on Main and Mill, you know that the southeast corner of Main and Mill is a rather large, not only apartment complex, but it is also a parking structure, and it is also retail on the first floor, so retail and flex space. I think what a lot of residents don't know about this is that part of the project is that parking structure is going to hold 175 parking spaces. So pretty much almost doubling the amount of public parking that's in Old Town, just in one project. So really excited about that. It'll be 203 residential units. I can tell you all the businesses in Old Town are very excited about having more people, more footprints. And I'll tell you, I'm always getting asked, well, can we get a grocery in Old Town or on that side of the world? Well, the number one thing that I get told by grocers is you gotta have head count, and we don't have enough people within the driving radius to make that happen. Number two, we gotta have a revenue stream. So we gotta know how much. And guess what, guys? Those cell phones you carry around, they know how much money you spend because of those cell phones and where you spend it because of those cell phones. So they know how much disposable income or income based on food is in a particular geography. And they say we're just not there yet. So we've got that piece. Number three is where do you put most grocers are full-scale grocers, right? So they're wanting acres and acres. Where do you put that in Old Town? It can be a little challenging. And number four, you got Sam's and Walmart right across the street. And so that's a highly competitive piece. So we are constantly working to figure out how we can get a grocery on that side. But the number one first thing is we got to get population down there, which is what we're doing. And then a couple of interesting conversations about maybe more community market instead of the big supermarket. So maybe a little bodega or something like that, which will be a little bit more community focused. So I'm interested. I hope we get some great entrepreneurs to drive that. Hey, if you're watching this and you're a grocer entrepreneur kind of guy or gal, come on, we need you. Old Town would love to have you. Next, if you go just a little bit further down on Mill Street, right next to Sullivan's Barbecue, we have another $30 million developer project. That's about 213 residential units. It actually is not only bringing housing, but it's actually bringing a linear park. So we've got a park space that'll be behind it and kind of drive up towards the south side of Main Street. So that'll give us some more green space for the area. And again, summer of 2024 for this one. And then the Whitlow, which is an $85 million project, it's actually a little bit closer to the rail station for DCTA. That's 420 residential units across from the Old Town Station. That's going to be open by 2024 as well. This one is one of 6 projects. I forget the developer. It's
Toll Brothers.
Toll Brothers, thank you. So Toll Brothers are always known for creating really quality products, so we're very excited about this. And I think what's important to know is on these, this one will have a lot of community amenities as well, but when you go into Old Town, you're going to see this mix of retail and residential, and as we put more residential pieces in there, if they come, we actually just recently added a requirement that first floor has to be what's called retail ready. And that means that, okay, it could be a residential unit, but it is equipped with taller ceilings, with more space, so that later on, when retailers maybe want to come in, we can flip that out and they can use it as a retail space and a business space as opposed to just housing. And I think that's important because if you build everything housing, and now you need retail and you can't get it. So staff brought that idea to us, the council approved it, and I think that's just really forward thinking on what we're doing down there. Next up, we have our Serve Lewisville facility. So for those of you who don't know, this is a one-stop shop. It's designed to be a nonprofit center. So all of our nonprofits can actually work there. They can get office space there at roughly half the market rate. The city is providing the capital to get that up out of the ground. And we already have interest in phase 2, so the second part of this, really exciting. But right now, the first part of it is focused on 5 key areas, which are healthcare services, mental health services, food insecurity, rent and utility assistance, and affordable childcare. So all of those things, once we're built out, all those things will be available at this facility. So really excited. It's on Edmonds and Fox. If you're kind of thinking where we put it, it's the old DATQ building. And then of course our current tenants already, before it's even open, it'll open this June, this early summer. We have our Lewisville Co-Care team, which is our mental health team that works with our police and fire departments. We have the Tarrant Area Food Bank who will be there providing food services. We have our MHMR, which is the mental health resources group that is funded by the state of Texas. And the Boys and Girls Club is coming to the Lewisville area. So we're really excited about them joining up and being part of this project. So lots of resources for our families, especially those families that need that little extra help. This is where they can go. They don't have to go up to Denton. They don't have to go all over the county. They can just go to one place and get all the tools that they need. Or you know what? They may not even realize the tool exists. So they go in for one tool and somebody else says, oh, but you should go talk to them across the hall because they can help you with this other problem. So it's going to be a great resource for our residents. Really proud of that one. I'm proud of the council for making it happen. This is a quick, just architectural sketch of La Gloria Park, which is down on Kia Drive, down on I-35, Southwest Parkway, Kia Drive. Google it, you'll find it. But it's going to be beautiful. And what I really love about this is it's actually looking at the different geozones that we have here. So North Texas grasslands, the North Texas cross timbers, Blackland Prairie. So these are all of the archetypes that we have in the area for native habitat, plants and animals. And in fact, we just received a large grant for being able to plant a lot of native trees in here. So hats off to the parks team. They did a great job. But you can see here, we're working on a little opportunity to put a farmer's market in here, food truck court, but lots of places just green space, right? Just kids can pick up a ball and go play a game, right? They don't have to have it programmed. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. You can just go. So I'm really excited about that opportunity. And then all the way through, you can see the different zones. So this one, tremendous amount of residential input. We had multiple residential input sessions out there. In fact, if you come into our Play Lewisville offices, on the wall in their conference room are the maps that the children drew about all the different things they'd love to see in a park. And I think that's it's beautiful to see that our staff takes that public comment to heart and incorporates it into these types of projects. For those of you who maybe are looking at this and going, wow, I really need something to do this weekend, I got a deal for you. On Saturday from 10 to 5 I think it's our 10th Colorpalooza. So maybe a little plus or minus. But it's this Saturday at 10 to 5 p.m. It's in Old Town Lewisville. And guys, it's not just a chalk art festival anymore. So if you haven't been in a couple of years, come on down, especially if you have kids, because there's so much interactive stuff for the kids to do. The DIY tie-dye and the tie-dyed shirts really turns into tie-dyed children when you think about it, which is kind of fun. But really, everybody loves that event. We have an artisan market. We've got music. We've got sustainability ideas. So if you're interested in learning more about solar, if you're learning more about native plants and native habitat, changing your yard to something a little more sustainable, insulation, those types of things, ideas for, using less energy. This is a great another piece of the puzzle. Of course, the chalk art is there. We have cultural dance performances and food trucks. So always a good time. But music, arts, family friendly. Come on down. And again, it's this Saturday. And then finally, wanted to talk just briefly that early voting begins on April 24th, and we do have 2 city council seats that are up for election. So I'd encourage you to find out more about who's running. The 2 seats are place 1 and place 3, and the Lewisville Municipal Annex will be open for early voting. You can get that information on the city website, and it'll start showing up later this week, early next week. I'm sure on social media you'll start seeing that information. But the nice thing about early voting in Texas is you can early vote anywhere. So you could be down in Dallas, you could be up in Denton, and as long as you've got a vote center, you can go. So if you live in Dallas, or in the Dallas part of Lewisville, you can go to Dallas. If you live in the Lewisville or Denton County part of Lewisville, then you can go anywhere in Denton County. So it's county by county. But exciting, makes it easy, and so if you're going to and from work, maybe you just pop over to someplace else. I used to go to Lake Dallas during early voting because there was never a line. Sometimes there would be a line here in Lewisville, so I'd just pop over to Lake Dallas and do it. But
The municipal annex will have that early voting, and then election day will be on May 6th, and those locations again will be all posted. So for those of you who like to wait till the last minute, May 6th will be actual election day. The other election that's going on, by the way, is of course our ISD. So the Independent School District, Lewisville ISD, has 2 seats up. I'd encourage you. Those have a lot more folks that are applied for those. So take some time, do some research. But the information's out there. It's pretty easy. Other than that, I think that's all we have for an update, and I want to thank you all for your time on social media. I don't know if anybody here has any questions, but I'll be more than happy to answer them. We've got a bunch of our executive staff here as well, so thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I don't have all the answers, but I typically know where to find them, and it's usually really smart people at the back of the room. So, any questions? Yeah, well, you know, that's. I've got a couple of my council members here, and they always keep me on my toes, so it's always a good thing. Got a great team. If there's no questions, we'll go ahead and shut this down. Thank you guys so much for being on social media. Make sure to like and subscribe to your city and do all the things in the down below. But also sign up for some of our city newsletters and whatnot. You can go to the city website and just type newsletter. There's some great information. So if you've ever said, man, I wish the city would tell me these things, we got you covered, folks. We just need you to click a couple of things and you will get all the pings and updates you've ever wanted. Thanks again. Have a great evening.